Welcome to another Unwrapping sound video. I'm coming back today with something that I have been wanting to do for a long while. I haven't been able to do it because I don't know if you remember, I did injure my left shoulder like 2 months ago and it's still hurting me. I have been going to physiotherapy and stuff. Finally now it's getting better, so I have started to play the piano again, what means that I can bring piano stuff to this channel, which I'm very excited about because I have a lot of ideas and a lot of things I would love to share with you. So this video, fundamentals of practice. How do I practice? What are my practice fundamentals? What's my personal take on such an important aspect of the life of a musician? If you don't know me, I am a classically trained improviser. Not really a classical improviser because I think I can say I have found my own language at the piano. And this video is about how do I practice now as an improviser. I come from this amazing classical world, but I have had to break many walls and rules in order to get where I am now. What I think is the best musician I've ever been. Can I say that? So before moving into a more practical field, before going to the piano, let's get into what I could call my rule. A bit of organization beforehand so I can explain to you better what is exactly practice for me. Practice for me is the way to improve my playing. And you can be like, wow, you have really had to think to come to this conclusion. This isn't as simple as it looks like. All classical players I've met, they all practice for the score. To make this piece or that piece sound as perfect as possible, as clean as possible. So practice for them, from my point of view, and it used to be practice for me as well, would be the way to improve the pieces they are playing. I am a classical player that started improvising when I went to London to study my masters at the Guildhall 3 years ago. So it used to be like this for me too. Practice infinite hours to get to play hardest scores. Now, I just practice for myself. And there's a huge difference between these two mindsets. Many things I didn't think at that point they were important. They are now the base of my playing. And I have improved immensely since I started thinking this way. Mentally speaking, it's also very satisfying because you are working for you, for yourself, to be free and to be able to play your instrument rather than to be able to play those pieces. I am not saying you don't know how to play if you don't improvise or your practice is crap, if you don't see it like I do. Every person's a whole different world and you do you. I'm sharing what works best for me from my experience, as now I can look back at myself as a straight classical player and I honestly realized how limited I was. I explored all of this by myself and I'm telling it to you just in case you can find it helpful. But as I often say in my videos, this is just me and my circumstances. Practice for me is based on questions, objectives, and fun. Always surrounded by a structure that, even though it has to be consistent, you need to know how to break it. This mindset applies to my daily life as well.
Freedom is structure.
You see this tattoo? I don't know if you can see it. This tattoo means exactly that. Structure is represented by all the straight lines, by all the figures. I have a few others that mean the same thing. Freedom is a structure, which means the more structure I have, the more free I am. I think I did say this before in other videos, but it's something that is so important to me. It is my motto. But being in control of my own structure, being free to break it and to organize myself differently time to time is as essential as eating. Those objectives, questions and fun work together in harmony to make me achieve the most without much effort. So for example, question plus objectives. What do I want to achieve? I want to have this arpeggio in all keys. We have answered our question. We have got the objective. We're ready to go. And last but not least, I'm sorry, but I ain't gonna do this for a long time if I'm not having fun. So I will just simply find a way to have fun. Simple, right? It works, believe me. I will show you an example of this later on when we are at the piano. Before doing something, always ask yourself why you are doing it for, what you are doing it for. Don't just repeat things over and over. That will make you feel very tired and unfocused very soon. I'm thinking of my actual improviser practice when I am speaking, but all of what I've said so far can apply to classical practice. This is just the way of doing things using your brain, theory, the spoken part of it. So there are quite a few differences between my past classical practice and my actual improviser practice. The main one that comes from the whole idea of practicing for myself rather than practicing for the pieces is that now the scores are not the point. I used to practice a lot of scores. Now I practice some at the very end of my daily practice and not for the longest time. Truth is, if I had to put a classical program together for an upcoming recital, I would change the structure of my practice and give so much more time to learn the pieces. But as improvisation is my passion, I play concerts based on it. What means learning repertoire isn't my priority anymore. It is my base though. I can properly play because I learned the classical basis. But I've got the structure already. Now it's time to work on the practical creativity that the classical world lacks off to me. Warming up. That is the part that all players tend to skip. Am I right? I used to go straight to the score thinking, I'll warm up with hard passages. And pretty much everyone I know does the same thing. Do the same thing, does the same thing. We are athletes, our muscles need to physically heat up to be able to work safely. Now, I do not think I'm warming up before practice. I just start practicing at a slow speed. For me, warming up is part of the practice, just slower practice. Scales, arpeggios, rhythms, shapes, speed exercises, a practice to play faster. I have learned a lot music itself before. Musicality isn't something I seek through practice anymore. Musicality comes out naturally because the classical school taught me a lot. It comes out in my playing the more comfortable I am with it. I am comfortable and happy when I play. I see that I am improving. So the more I practice, the more technique I get, the strongest I will be. More common sense, I guess. It took me many years to understand practice, and only now I'm barely starting to understand it. I believe they should teach us how to practice rather than like how to memorize millions and millions of tunes. All my practice works around raw technique. All I do for me to learn it, so then it will pop into my improvisation. I seek for the tools I can use when I am playing. And right now you're probably thinking,
This is just so boring.
well, it isn't if you see how much you improve by doing that. It is not boring if you then can play anything you can think of pretty much. If you go improvise, go create, and the ideas that you have been working on for a few days, they suddenly work. You see results, your goals accomplished, and you just want to keep going. That is the right way of practicing. When you achieve your goals and you want to keep doing it. But even if you get to play really incredible, well, awesome, impressive, impossible, important, impolite, impala, that is an animal. Did I just make it up? Magnificently well. Doing scales up and down isn't a pleasure for anybody. Another strong point for me in my practice is the creativity. All I do or all I try to do when I'm studying is to create. It is very helpful, the fact that I don't follow any written exercises and its course, because that pushes me towards creation and imagination. I develop my own exercises based on my objectives and on fun. I'm looking for silly things that make me enjoy my practice and learn. There's plenty of stuff you can do. I never thought scales could be this fun and this creative until I decided to step out of the box of practice where they put me in when I started playing the piano, and I began experimenting with myself, I guess. I could be talking about this for weeks, non-stop, so I'll shut up and go to the piano to show you what a day of practice would be for me. My shoulder isn't perfect, but I will manage. So let's go. Whoa! That was fun. Okay, I stop. So we're here with my buddy. This isn't the place where I practice. I have a proper piano in the living room. Sorry, pal. But to record the sound of this one is way better because I'm recording MIDI sound directly from the keyboard. And also this one is in tune, which helps. And it doesn't have any broken string. The other one has like 7 broken strings. Let's just get into what is a day of practice for me. No scores around, but a notebook. I tend to think a lot when I practice. And it's really good to write down thoughts, ideas. I'm always thinking about finding ideas that I can use to explain what I do to myself or to whoever asks. One of the projects I'm working on is to write my own exercises on etudes based on my way of playing. I've got a few already. You can actually check a video I have on this same channel. I think it's called Estudios número 1 y 2, etudes number 1 and 2. I played them for my final master's exam at Guildhall. And I will try to put the video somewhere in this screen. I don't know if I will manage, but I will try to do that. If you can't see it to click and watch it, you can just go to my content and scroll down. I am playing a couple of etudes I wrote. They're really short, but they are really hard. First one is for rhythm. The second one, you work on your left hand and on your left foot. Make sure you check it out. So I'm actually planning on uploading like specific exercises and etudes that explains better how do I do things, written exercises, fun little ideas that can inspire you go towards a more creative practice. So let me know what you think if you would be interested in seeing that or in learning from that. I'm thinking about making a little piano tutorial where I will be playing through things that I wrote. Yeah, so let me know. I really believe creative practice can give you wings in terms of being free in music. The feeling of dominating your own instrument and understanding it, knowing that it's you who is controlling it and not the other way around, is priceless. So we start slow because our muscles are not awake yet and because it's just a way to play fast.
Words of wisdom.
Scales. I start with scales. I do a round of all of them, major, harmonic, minor, natural minor. I mean, I don't do them all because I could spend a whole day. I do as many as possible slowly until I feel my fingers are starting to be warm, and then I move on. I focus on my movement, on my relaxed wrist and on my strong fingers. Something I always use is the metronome. I'm not going to use it it now because I use my metronome on my phone and my phone is recording. What I usually do is put my metronome on 5/4. I highlight the first beat of every 5. Beep, 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 beep. Just in case you didn't know what was a 5/4. 5/4 is a regular rhythm. You wouldn't naturally feel it. You would have to train yourself to feel it. So I tend to do my scales on 5/4. So I train myself to feel in 5/4. And it's really fun when you are improvising and you're able to play around with cooler rhythms. Always try to push your limits and trying to do weird things because why not? Mottos is always finish the exercise. Even if you are really bored, finishing what you chose at the beginning to be your objective will make you feel better than stopping in the middle. Then when I feel ready, I start playing around with things. Here's when the fun starts. After doing your homeworks, you can go play in the garden. Mixed scales, mixed exercises, this is how I call them. Why would you be bored doing a C major scale when you could be mixing B flat major and G major, for example? A really important part of the practice for me. I'm looking for ideas, looking for things I have never done before. I'm looking to improve my technique, but having fun. What else? One key in each hand and have fun. It can be a really brain at the beginning, but don't try to do them really fast to start with. Just pick a really confident tempo and give it a go. There's a lot to explore. I also tend to pick a different technique every day. For example, thirds. Sixths. And then of course once you start feeling comfortable you have to complicate them. I love challenges, so I'm always trying to push myself to find my limit, and I try to mix things even more. For example, mixing these two techniques I've just mentioned. While focused on my dexterity and creativity, I take a step forward towards speed only when my fingers feel really ready to run. And then what I do after is something that I could call the 80s challenge. I started doing that months ago with the 60s challenge. 80s is the fastest I've got so far. I basically try to play as many scales as possible at 80 bits per minute. I'm not gonna do it because my metronome is my phone. Always start as slow as possible. And then you just build up. So after all of these, it takes me around 1 hour and a half at least. I might try to find an original shape, something that I've never played before, and try to imagine, try to create exercises with it. I tend to write them down, then build an etude from it. So let's just recap a bit on everything I've just said. Everything for me is based on creativity. By doing that, I have developed a lot of skill that allow me to be really free on my instrument. Do not hesitate on asking me absolutely anything. And of course, I encourage you to try any of the things I've said. I have said really small examples of the whole amount of things that I do when I'm practicing, just to give you a few little ideas that maybe now you can work on. Scores and composing are something I also work on. I spend time composing, and also I practice chords. Last piece I was playing was the Greek concerto. I wanted to learn it because I like it a lot, and also because I was improvising the cadenza. One of my projects was to play it at school with my super best friend as a second piano, but I couldn't do it because of COVID. So it's something I would love to do at some point. Make sure you come to the concert. I do encourage you to try any of the things I've said. I do encourage you, if you're a pianist, to start doing my mixed scales. A tip for beginners could be using C major in any of the two hands. C major is a scale you can forget of pretty easily when you are playing. When you have all keys really in your brain that you do not have to think at all. This is the same feeling I get when I am improvising. I am not thinking in every single note. You have it already on your brain in a way. You know, but you don't know. Improvisation works around being completely free, being mentally fast. The more exercises you practice, the more creative exercises, the more ideas you find, you storage them on your brain. That pays off. I hope you enjoyed the video, and again, do not hesitate to ask me anything. Over and out.